Alright, haven't made a video in a while. You know, when you look at the way things have turned out, the very basis of it all is that change is inevitable. It goes up and down. But I think we need to really focus on some bigger issues that's going on, you know, within our society, with the reality, and just humans in general. Um, I almost want to make a video with this in. It's just something that I've posted before, but um, you know, let's kind of take a look at a couple of different perspectives here of what's kind of happened. And again, I am non-political. I don't vote, and it's this the reason why I'm even saying that is part of the reason why I'm making this video, because you have people out there that are calling judgment on people that have said anything positive about Trump or associate one way or anything like that. And I mean, I saw something like with on the View where they had a guy that was I don't really memorize names or anything like that. I mean, I could look it up, but or you could look it up. Look up the View and a photo with Candace Owens. This guy gets blasted, and is almost to the point to where they're like, "You don't see how destructive your behavior is if you take a picture and you're smiling with Candace Owens." I mean, really, really? Are you kidding me? So there is and with the impeachment as well. I mean, that in itself brings up a lot of suspicion as well. Because if you really stop and just think about it, right? If you just stop and think about it, and everybody had all of this, confidence that there was no fraud in the election, and you know, the mass has spoken, uh, and all of that, right? Why would you need to impeach the guy, right? If you're so confident about this, and it draws into a whole spectrum of different concepts. I mean, they can be made in comparison. So when you're thinking logically, you have to look at all of everything, and not really put too much border into it. Because once you've put a border around these concepts or ideas or knowledge, you've closed yourself off. You've put an end to it. You know, I, work with a lot of different type of people, and I have worked with a lot of different type of people. And one thing I can tell you, I've been a trainer, manager, all this stuff. And probably one of the most annoying personality types, and I would say that they normally have a very low success rate, and that they are so apt to self-sabotage themselves, as the type of person that conceptually knows everything. You don't have to. I was going to tell you, oh, you don't got to tell me nothing. I know it. Oh, oh, okay, cool. Usually, what I like to do at that point is just kind of step back and just watch them, and however long it takes, and they say, "Man, what do I do here?" Well, I was going to tell you that, but you told me you knew everything. That's one of the things within life. They say you should be learning something new every day, and with the information age and the internet, information is nonstop, and sometimes you utilize that brain to really get some garbage in your mind, and that's kind of what's kind of taking place right now. I mean, I've just looked at the whole election thing as one of those type of situations where it's like, how did, it's the most bizarre thing. And I mean, I'm really unaffected. I mean, I don't agree with a lot of the choices that Biden has made. I can't say that I agreed with every decision that Trump made, especially there towards the end. I don't think he incited a riot. You just have certain types of personality. We talk about personality types. You have those type of personalities. So yeah, you might get some people that adhere to some of the things that you're saying and twist it about. Okay? Just because that's an attribute doesn't classify people who thought that the whole situation and were in favor of Trump are extremists, rioters, and all of this nonsense. That's like saying that BLM, Black Lives Matter, is all people that like to go and riot and set fires to stuff. Well, that's not true. That's not true. Some people might be misguided. Some people might be, mentally unstable and already have situations going on, and they're just not mentally stable. I mean, if you really want to see how I operate, I push it to an extreme level. Because once you put it into an extreme level and make people say or conceptualize, that's ridiculous. Why would you say that? It really kind of puts in perspective what you just said. So the government would have you believe that if you associated with anybody that was conservative, like Candace Owens, taking a picture with her, or if you, were at a Trump rally, or you posted something, they're scrubbing people off the internet, closing down, websites and all of this nonsense because of this, real concern about insurgencies and stuff like that. So, and really, in all honesty, it's taken away your freedom of speech, your freedom to an opinion. Okay? Because out of the people number count that were at the Capitol, right? That would probably be a small fraction of the people, right? That are Trump supporters, probably. I would guess, because how many millions voted for him? Okay? They say that it was so neck and neck with Biden, right? That's how many people. Now, how many people actually showed up and actually entered into the building, right? Do you have a head count? So that section doesn't represent every single person, right? You got to subcategorize, okay? I know it's politically incorrect to classify and section things off and look at it, dissecting it, but you have to use some kind of common sense. And it seems that common sense is kind of not so common anymore, right? And I'm going to go very extreme so you can kind of understand what I'm saying. And whenever you hear me, you're going to be like, that's ridiculous. It's just as ridiculous as what is being portrayed. We're going to talk about some portrayal things going on. The way that the media or the news and politicians are portraying certain situations and what they would have you believe. So they would have you believe that anybody that was associated with the conservative or Trump movement or whatever, or involved with Q, is a cult member. People. So that'd be like saying, because you have that involved in your life, well, I guess if you eat meat as opposed to being a vegetarian, well, I mean, you fucking murdered your hamburger, right? Death had to take place. You're probably a murderer. So that's what I'm saying to you. If you eat hamburgers or if you eat meat, you're a murderer. You probably kill people. I mean, we can't have that. We can't have that possibility that people that eat meat don't murder people. We can't. We got to stop it. So from here out, no more hamburgers. And if you are caught eating a hamburger, well, you need to be dealt with. You need to be stifled, maybe incarcerated even. You're saying, wait, dude. That's way ridiculous. It's not even the same thing. At the core, it is. you're basing an assumption or a classification on a wide spectrum of people. And, the whole Q thing, um, I was intrigued by it because, you dig into my past, I have some conspiracy stuff. And as a matter of fact, I have one privatized that has several theories about Q. And I've found out what the whole Q thing is. And it's, you know, I learned early on, I'm talking about a few years ago, that Q was what it was. Okay? It, it, it's, it, I never saw anything hurtful. I never saw anything taking donations. I never saw, except for the YouTubers now. The YouTubers, right? I never saw anything saying to become violent. Basically, it was just downloads of information. Basically, if you really want to get into it, aside from manipulations behind the scenes, and especially from YouTubers that were profiting off that situation, um, it's no different than WikiLeaks, other than the fact that WikiLeaks is 100% certified, and they are definitely government documents involved with that. Okay? What I'm trying to get around to for certain to let you know is that at no point that I'm aware of has government been in front and upfront, upfront and completely transparent. And I believe that the Trump administration really attempted to do that because he's not a politician. But now it's back to the same old, same old. Big promises, no turnout, no nothing. Okay. So, man, this is going to be kind of an in-depth and a long one, but I haven't made one in a while. So there's a lot of knowledge I'm trying to drop on you. So we covered the clumping the association of everything, because that's what you're being told, is that anybody that is a Q person is a cult person. No, that's not true. Anybody who is a Trump supporter or didn't vote for Biden is harmful to people. No, that's not true. Okay, it's just not. Absolutely not true. It's like saying anybody who plays Dungeons and Dragons is in a cult and murders people and they're unstable. That's just absolutely not true. It's like saying that rock music will allow demon possession. It's made from Satan. No, that's not true. Is some of it bad? Well, hell yeah, some of it's bad. Are there people that are susceptible to linguistic programming and things like that? Sure, there are people that are susceptible to doing dumb things, but it's probably because of an internal uh, mental or social issue. Doesn't have to do with the outside source so much as the individual. So, man, forget the guy's name. Um, and I don't really like to put up big poster boards for people who are murderers, but the guy who shot Lennon, and there was a series of events of where people that were killing people were found with copies of the book Catcher in the Rye, right? They were saying things in the conspiracy world about that, but nothing came up and said, well, we've got to get this book off the shelf. We've got to get this book out of the schools because this book is causing murders. And it wasn't. It wasn't. You know? So the guy that killed John Lennon, you can have his name. I don't need it. So now that part of it's covered, of that one issue that I wanted to talk about, we have something coming out that's stopping the oil, the pipeline, and everybody wants to make a transition to clean energy. So, well, let's just talk about it for a minute, because most people are completely unaware of what. Most people just think that oil is in cars and that's how they make gas and that makes emissions. Okay, that's not all that oil is used for, by the way. It's also used for a lubricant, which we can synthesize that. That's easy. Now, but let's talk about people that I've had discussions with, and I don't know why, but the Lord has just graced me with ignorant people. So I feel like I'm just, blessed with knowledge, and I'm not really super smart. I am smart, but I don't think I'm like a genius. Um, Maybe I am. I don't know, but um, I had a discussion with an associate, not a work associate, just online, and I was told, you know, because I think that's a dumb move. And my broad question was, so we're just gonna, snuff these jobs, and you know, we're going to stop oil production, and so what's the plan? You know, when I make decisions, I'm a single parent, so when I make decisions, especially like, where am I going to live? Where are my kids going to school? There's a game plan involved. Okay, so I'm gonna go check this out online. I'm gonna see what this area is rated. Is this a school rated well? You have a conceptualization of what your end game is, right? So the end game is to be clean energy, So you do some research so what is the game plan, right? The game plan. There is no game plan. It's just to stop the oil, right? Because it's killing everything, right? So what are we going to use? Solar. Solar's probably going to be the 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 most portable, the easiest for individuals to use. Not to mention the fact that it's just extremely expensive to initiatively invest in. But people just hear things and they automatically just know it. So you're saying I'm going to get energy, and all I got to do is lay these panels on my roof, and it's like it's free energy basically. Oh yeah, that sounds a lot better than burning dinosaurs and emitting, all these harmful chemicals into the atmosphere, right? That sounds great. So let's stop oil, right? So if you are listening to me right now, yeah, I recorded this on my cell phone and I adapted it. Even if you're using a computer, well, you can get that shit out of your head. You want to know why? Here's something that I guess the common folk just don't know. They don't make the association just how much oil is actually used and what it is all used for. So it's time for me to steer you in a way so you can go do some investigations. Your TV, that laundry basket, most of the parts inside of your vehicle that aren't metal. And I'm not talking about the fluid or the gasoline. Um, Most of your hangers that you hang your clothes on, um, flashlights, cell phone casings, um, laptop bodies, um, Xbox controllers. Um, you know what they all have in common? Oh yeah, it's a derivative of oil. You didn't know that. You need to look up what plastic is made out of. Okay, and I agree that plastic is a pretty big problem in itself because of the cycle that it takes, the time cycle that it takes, the decay rate of it. But if you think that this oil thing is just, it's a much better way to go, or better way to get rid of it and stop drilling for oil and all that, get rid of all your plastic right now. I want you to take a look around you, and anything that's plastic, I want you to go green. I want you to throw away all your plastic. Okay? Now, that's just knowledge that I'm dropping on you, okay? So you can be a little bit more aware and expand the borders of your little frame that you have in your mind. So here's another thing to make you think. Why just drop it off without a game plan? And why just drop it off knowing that It's a resource that we commonly use. You know, on the lids to your vitamins, on your Tupperware, all that. Yeah. I mean, there is natural rubber, and it can be processed and to get different grades and hardness. But just think about it. If you want to deforest the trees now to get rubber, you can't utilize and create something without taking from something, unless it's just a concept. That's the only thing you can do. Okay. I'll have to pause for the calls on this one. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna make this one a shorty, and I'll go into my second bit and make 2 videos for you. But we're gonna finish up this oil petroleum issue real quick. So let's go ahead and this will be part 1, I guess. Maybe of just, I don't know. It's just more like a rant. It's just really, this is the only thing I don't set out to have a game plan on. You know what I'm saying? Because there's so much happens throughout the day, and I think about stuff, and I think that are interesting points or something that people should think about or be at least be aware of. And I mean, already intermittent, but I'll go ahead and bring this to the forefront. Is anybody aware of what the other implications of that pipeline were? So we were pulling resources to be self-sufficient, right? Right. That's one aspect. You know what took place during the Trump administration? I'll tell you. We filled our oil reserves. This is all easy to look up. It's just facts. I'm pretty a straight shooter, and I go with facts only. My opinion is based on facts. So, or at least what's been presented to me as fact. But this is actually, you can look it up. Our oil reserves are full. How timely is it to do this pipeline? I mean, if you think that, I mean, you got to look at why. Why? And going green, it's great. I think it's really an awesome concept. But this world is going to be devastated no matter what, because something is sacrificed to create something, as I said. And I'll route that back to you whenever I explain to you how damaging solar panels are. Pretty damaging. So, I think it's interesting that the oil reserves just got filled up. It's kind of like the people that run out of gas, or you kind of like wait for that last exit to get gas, right? I think that's kind of what's taking place. But also on another side note, it's also a manipulation on the oil industry. Just because we don't need it right now, we're not going to get gas. We don't need it right now, so let's go green. There's not even a game plan there. It's a conception. It's a way to stop and embed something on Trump. That's what it's from him. We hate it. We're getting rid of it. I have never seen a society or a group of people just so displeased and hateful about somebody. And it's funny to me because, like with the situation with AOC, people are like, people deal with trauma differently. It's not, people are just being rude and animalistic and just uncultured swine about this. And same way with Biden. He was a member of the military, and he's been in office, and he's distinguished. And let me tell you something. And then they want to say, why are people being, we got to shut these people down. I guess I'll go back to the oil thing in a second, but I just kind of ran it off there. But I will. So people are saying you can't be allowed to say anything positive about Trump and nothing negative about Biden. So if you call into question, the investigation or about Biden's son, you're being snuffed out. Snuff. You're being deplatformed, right? So wait, hold on a second here, because we're asking questions and just wanted answers, or we're wondering or have something to say about that situation. We're being popped off of platforms. And when I say we, I'm just figuratively speaking. There's been people that have been taken off the internet, or like this Parler site or whatever that's been ousted by Amazon and other things, where it's no longer a free enterprise. It's controlled enterprise. That means your freedoms are being. That means if you create something and people just don't like it, somebody's gonna make a decision not to release it. It's not like you make a product and it's a shit product and nobody wants it. It's somebody stopping your progression or your concept or your ideas and not allowing it. No, I mean, obviously, things that are really negative, promoting murder and, unruly behavior, there has to be censorship. But with that goes censorship, not deplatforming, right? Copyright stuff, age level restrictions, that's censorship. That's understandable. But not to say, oh, this is not, no, we're not going to have that. They've taken your freedom and your ability to make personal choices. So if you're into S&M, right? Hopefully I'm reaching a more mature audience now. But if you're into S&M, what if somebody said, you can't do that? We don't care if it's consensual on the parties. We don't care. It's promoting a dark and twisted mentality. Well, that's basically what's going on. You don't have that freedom. Doesn't matter that you don't wear a ball gag in the meeting room. Doesn't matter that you are consensual. Doesn't matter that you don't promote it. You don't you don't have the all ball gags and whips bumper sticker. So you wanted some jokes, I'm gonna give them to you. There you go. But like I said, I like to go to those extremes to make you kind of conceive that, wow, that's not the same, but yeah, it is the same. It is. So when you softly insert something, have you ever heard that analogy of the frog in the frying pan, right? That same thing. Gradually heat it up, they're gonna die. It's gradual implications of censorship, right? And I might break it in the middle. I'm just gonna keep rolling. I got too much scatterbrained right now, but whatever. So I want to know where these people were. All these sensitive people that are saying all this. It's just harmful. It's nothing positive. It's being, don't be mean to people. Where were all these censorship people when people were making videos about killing Trump? Like holding mock heads up like Kathy Griffin. Where was everybody like that? It was selective. Now, to me, if you accidentally hurt somebody, it's an accident. But when you go after somebody with malicious intent, what about all the slander and all the hateful things that people said, like he's racist? I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not all white, okay? I am a mongrel, a mutt, okay? I would not stand or give it. I don't give the guy credit who killed Lennon. Do you think I'm going to give any knowledge or investigate if I thought Trump was racist? Do you think that? I mean, in some aspect or points, everybody is racist, or everybody has a conception. I mean, racism is a slippery slope. Okay, when you get into racism, races do certain things because they're derived from different cultures. To say that racism and stereotypes don't exist is in everyday life and it is very common, that's ignorant. It's ignorant. But now, hate crime, that's the part you got to worry about. Everybody with stereotypes. Look at Saturday Night Live. You don't think they make jokes about that shit, even to this day? Where's the outcry for that? Huh? Where's the outcry? I should, this is all split up weird. I might have to go back and redo this, but I probably won't because I'm a ranty guy. What can I say? I'm going to go back to the oil thing for a split second. For all those people that are going green and think that solar panels are the way of the future. All right. Has anybody ever had a building made or seen a construction site? Hmm? Has anybody? Maybe, possibly. Well, let's do a psych investigation. Since you probably didn't know about the plastic thing, I'm going to assume you don't know anything about solar panels at all. Okay? And it takes 2 seconds to figure this out online, right? Because there's a balance. And the balance is there's a circle. If you take and create, you're taking from something, okay? And you deplete something. Like if I want to build like a house, right? I've got to utilize materials, right? It's not a concept or an idea. It's something that has matter to it. So I've got to draw on things to construct. So that means I'm depleting something from somewhere, right? And all those acrylic nails that you guys got, well, not guys, but gals, some of you gals have, bye-bye. I don't know, I just went out nowhere, but anyway, let's think about this. So, solar panels, how does that work? How do they work? What are they made out of? Does anybody know? Anybody? No? It's made out of silica. Oh, you're thinking, well, silica, yeah, well, shit, so we just use up a little bit of sand, right? We just dig that out of the earth. No. There's a difference between dirt and sand. Can you believe it? I know it's really weird. I mean, they have two totally different names. It's odd. Sand. Like, you wouldn't go make a Coke bottle, out of the dirt in your backyard because there's too many minerals and too many, other elements that can, quote unquote, contaminate it and make the glass weaker. The type of sand we're talking about is from like the ocean, which is basically shells that have been bashed around from undercurrents for years. Okay? Did you know that? It's really, take a look, it's in a book or use the internet. So, that's what we use a lot of sand for, right? Silicon. But we do use a lot of sand. We also use sand for glass. Have you been to any buildings lately where you've seen any windows or some shit like that? It's all from sand. But let's go one step further, because y'all don't know this because you guys are on fire and looking at one thing and not really being concerned about going green. So I'm here to just grease your ass up a little bit so you can pull that head out of there and really think about solutions. Think about the future. Think about what's going on. Do you know how much sand is used on a construction site, or we'll even just say like a house, a small house, not one of these billion-dollar homes that these politicians have, a simple house, right? You know how many tons of sand is utilized? Do you know that they scoop that sand out? They put it on a truck, right? Which has emissions, by the way, and uses gasoline. And there's that whole spectrum of transportation you didn't think about without having a valid solution. All your grocery, they're going up. They're going up. And they'll probably just throw that minimum wage thing in there, so that way the backlash of it, so they can charge you more, because that's just how it is. There's always underlying things, potentially. So, but right now we're talking about something that's not a conspiracy, that it takes tons of sand. You've never seen them, like dig the dirt up around the construction site and utilize it, right? They bring it in. Huh. Weird, right? Not really. Because sand, we've already discussed that. But here's what we're going to discuss. It's already impacting the oceans. You can investigate it and look it up. Look up sand shortages or, construction site, the dangers of sand, right? I mean, I lived off the beach, and where I lived off the beach, they would have to actually, they would create a false barrier reef to keep out the sharks, but also because all of the sand was being pulled out to the sea. So they would have to run a barge and put sand back up so there would actually be a beach. If you don't think there's a shortage of sand or that it's altering the oceans, therefore your climate, you need to investigate that and think about how many tons go into a house. How much sand? Google it. Look into it. Then the other thing you need to be aware of is how many buildings are around, especially in the city. Talk about concrete. You know what? Sand. You know what? Concrete. Yeah, use sand for that, by the way. All them roads and stuff yeah, sand. You think about all the sand that has been plucked out of the sea and put where? On the earth? On top of, out of the water? I think that would potentially make the ocean's level lower a little bit too. Maybe not so much the heat in the atmosphere. I mean, look, I'm gonna tell you something, a big secret. World's got a lot of water on it. Got lots of it. And if we were in danger of it just evaporating and going away, let me tell you something. It would take one hell of an event to deteriorate the atmosphere. And even then, I mean, it's just, you've got to do some research into the stuff you're talking about. Okay? Don't be the finger. You know those old cartoons where there's a leak in the boat and they put their finger there and another one comes out and they're like, and they're trying to fill up every single hole. That's what's going on. And it's what's going to continue to go on until we find a renewable, clean energy source, a renewable, clean way to construct stuff that doesn't utilize matter. That's the problem that we're going to be issued with. And so I'm not even going to go into the whole thing about the oil reserves and why they're going to spike up the prices and why they're killing out jobs, because we're on our way to a depression, on this route. I mean, just do your research on that. You think that all these are great ideas. They sound great because you're going to get more money, right? $15 an hour more? Dude, do you know what has happened? Let me explain to you the situation about minimum wages going up and what they call inflation, right? There has to be a balance out. So if I'm an employer, right, and I've got to pay you $15 more an hour, what am I going to do to compensate for my profit margin? Well, I'm going to start charging more for my shit. Because, well, hell, if I can make money now, you can pay for it anyway. And plus, I've got to take care of my employees. So it's going to be a backlash, and prices will go up. And the evidence is before you. Well, it won't be that bad. Really? Do you know how much a loaf of bread was when my grandmother went to the store and bought it? It wasn't $1.50 to $3. 10 cents. 10 cents. Yep. And that was with not the travel and the resources that we have of moving product around today was not even available. If you don't think there's going to be a huge backlash to almost doubling the minimum wage, my friend, you will live it for about a year until people start getting fired because they have to utilize the best employees, right? And then that might not be enough because they're hemorrhaging profit by almost twice as much. So they're definitely going to raise the price on product to try to make it back. And it's just going to trickle down. And by the time you look around, a loaf of bread is going to be $6. That's what's going to happen. Getting paid more doesn't fix a fucking thing. Lowering the cost of living fixes the problem. That fixes the problem. You know that electricity that you're sitting there paying, $100 plus a month for something that's already kind of conduitively glowing? That can be lowered. That's going green. That's boosting the economy. That water that's sitting there behind that faucet that's just waiting for you to give it a little twist. Now, I understand there is a process, and there are employees, and there's piping and all that stuff that is a derivative of that. But routing a resource to your home, those could be the first things to get lowered in the cost of living, not higher the wages, in effect offsetting, all the things that I've already described. These people are dumb, and it hurts me to my soul because people don't think about this shit. But this is a special one. This is gonna be the 1 hour episode. I can feel it. I'm gonna veer away from that because I think I've said the vital points about that. So now onto the subject that I've kind of skated around a little bit. And I've made a video about racism before. And like I said, I'm not 100% white, I'm part white. But, and that's not my bad side. It's not my good side. Because I'm not defined by my race. I don't allow people to define me by my race. Now, I will say this one, because I've said it before. When you look at America, I'm going to put a screenshot up. It's a video from a long time ago, and I'll actually put what it is. It's just going to be a screenshot. You can go look at it yourself. There are racist things, and there are stereotypical things, but as far as straight up hate crime, it is not rampant and abundant like you would have the Biden administration tell you. I'm here to tell you that. I'm not saying that prospectively, that people don't associate with certain things. That's the way it is. And people make jokes about it. They do it on public TV. And nobody's screaming about all that, right? Because it's jokes, right? I mean, it's the hate that we have the problem with. Because we'll all acknowledge, I mean, certain stereotypes are fitting, right? I mean, it's not categorically, politically correct to adhere to them at all times, but you can acknowledge that. The problem is hate. When people are taken away from a life of success, or physically harmed, mentally abused, or any of that stuff, then that's the bad. And that's not running rampant, my friend. And I'm going to tell you right now, because I've got a video of this black woman. I mean, it's black and white. It's old. It's really old. And I'm not saying that in general. There was a point in this America's time, and it's going on worldwide. I mean, don't think that just American people had slaves. Don't think that, because I mean, you can go get a slave right now in Syria. You can get the email. Slavery is not an American problem. It's not a black problem. It's a evil problem. Okay? Have you ever heard people joking about the sweatshops in China? Child slavery. It's not just a black problem. It's not just an American problem. Okay? Let's get that fucking out of the way real quick. Anyway, back to the lecture at hand. If you think that it's just, I'm not saying they don't exist, because obviously we have neo-Nazis, we have people that are hateful and all that, but those people, usually people that hate people because of a classification of race, they're usually just hateful people in general. Okay? If somebody just hates based on an appearance, I mean, I've had that in my life. Some people just don't like, I mean, I've had it in my history. Okay? And I've had the talk given to me by my dad. You gotta be careful who you talk to. Let them know what's what. Because not everybody's out to do you good. I mean, yeah. So let me just present this, because not anybody really knows exactly what I talk about when I'm not white. I might look white and all that. But I'm just, and race to me doesn't really fucking matter. There's good people and bad people. Said it. My race has been enslaved. Okay, okay, both of my races. Well, I've got a couple in me, so but on two levels, uh, murdered and enslaved. Okay, I don't think it's more important. It's not going to push my point any further, other than to um, let you know that I associate, I conceptualize, I understand it. My dad told me, dude, there are people in the world that don't like you, and that you know they've killed us just because of what we are. Okay, so let's get that out the way, and then just say that because I don't think race is important, but I think you need to know that I'm coming from a valid point of view. Okay, and that I do have an understanding of what the whole thing is about. And I'm telling you now, other than some conceptualized fear whenever I was a child, especially after you have that talk, you kind of look at things differently, and uh, it came from me. A lot of it came from me, a lot of fear. But I don't let people put fear in me, because that's a form of control within itself. The thing is that it's not every person on the street. It's not just every Trump supporter. It's not just this guy that read that book or eats meat that's trying to be racist or create hate crime, right? America has struggled, and I will say, basically, when America started getting established, nobody wanted to do the work. There was a whole lot of work, and you know what? A lot of people wanted to get away from where they were, and they came here, and then the whole slave thing, because they wanted what? A workforce to do it. They didn't have a workforce. We were a little sprig of England. And look at where we are now, you know? But that's one of the evil, I wouldn't even say it's a dark shadow, because without that dark shadow, you wouldn't see the light. There would be no light. But I would say that it's not a glorious moment in our history, a proud moment in our history. Okay? It just wasn't. And it was wrong. And you had people out there, and there was a sense of conjecture. Do you know why we don't have slavery anymore? Have you ever stopped to think about that? Maybe what promoted the end of slavery? Is it because America is mostly racist? Is it because America just wants to see, people that are non-whites more successful? Is that why they ended slavery? Let's use our brain here for a minute. Get out that frame for a second. Hold on a second here. I'm going to use my head. So, no, if people were racist, we would probably still have slavery, and it would just be, way of life. The reason slavery has ended is because the hearts and the minds of the majority of the population saw the hurt and the pain that was inflicted, not only to the mind and the spirit, and I'm not even going to say of a black person or anything like that, of a human being. They associated as the human level. So are you telling me that we've got to be in fear of racism and how it's just systemic and it's just for generations? I'm going to have to say bullshit. Phase 2, if you buy into that bullshit, then you have just slapped Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, anybody who has fought, anybody who has died, anybody who has backed to get to where we are now. It is a slap in the face to all who oppose slavery, all who put an effort to stop systemic racism long ago. Do not believe that every person's the same, or that everything and all this, and you're a victim and all this shit. Don't believe that shit. That video I'm posting, or the picture that I'm showing, is a black woman playing a guitar out in public. It's an electric guitar, by the way. It's in public. I mean, she's not like a hot supermodel. She's not a front woman. She's just playing blues. Okay? Don't give me your systemic bullshit, because at one point in this country, we have some shame. But there have been leaps and bounds made in the progression in that area. And if you are going to sit there and say everything is, America's a racist nation, let me tell you something. You are slapping the face and shaming the people that have fought and died to get to where we are now. I'm just saying. If I'm wrong, explain to me how I'm wrong. You got a comment section down there. I'm not like the White House. You can actually leave a comment. Oh, I'm not going there today. Oh yeah, I forgot. The bulk of this whole thing was about oil and racism, because I'm tired of hearing about how racist America is, and I'm tired about hearing going green when you're not going to go green, bro. You're not going green. You're just manipulating the output. It's like when you have like a stereo and you have like all the, plays all the different frequencies, and you can zone out the bass, pump up the treble and stuff. Hey, give me a radio that ain't got all that switches, that plays good music and I can hear it really well. I don't need to fuck with all that shit. You just change it a little bit here and there to optimize it. Well, you're just trying to optimize the brown earth. This green movement, it's you're just messing with the switches. Still there. You're just kind of altering it out a little bit. So, had some catching up to do. Had some stuff on my chest. And that's what's that. And here's the other thing. I'm going to do, for the most part, I'll about pop in every once in a while and make some videos, but I'm changing this whole shit up. I'm going to give you some philosophies. I'm going to give you some pushes and urges to, do some analyzing in government and society in general. And I'm going to try to push you in a leaning towards love and understanding. Okay? Because what's being pushed is a lot of hate right now. A lot of fear right now. And it's just, you don't understand the mappings of it, because most of you guys are like young babies, and your grandparents didn't tell you about the important shit. You don't know how to gut a fish. It's okay. You will soon. Maybe, I don't know. I could be. Hopefully I'm wrong. But here's a question for you. All right? I didn't complete the thought earlier, but so if everybody voted, it was split down the middle, but everybody was solid. They didn't want Trump, right? And America has spoken, right? Why fucking impeach him? You do realize they're impeaching him so he can't run again in the next election, right? It's it. That's it. You're aware of that, right? And whenever you talk about all these people being hard, and all these, conservatives being, disrespectful to, the Democrats and this, let me tell you something. I talked about it before, the Kathy Griffin head thing, and dragging that dude through an impeachment. And guess what happened in the first impeachment? We found out more shit that they did wrong. Oh, it's fact. 100% fact. Right? But it's funny how somebody says AOC is kind of going a little out of proportion with it, I think. She just expresses trauma different. Nah, nah, nah. Come on. One thing you're going to have to do, educate yourself, expand your mind, get some love in your heart, stop listening to everything that's told to you, and think. Love and understanding, have some spirituality in your life. Do some people good instead of pointing out flaws and bad things about people. I mean, I know I've made a couple videos that shine a bad light on Biden, but dude, if you're gonna represent we the people at the head of this country, I just think you should be 100% capable of it and honest. And I mean, to this day, he has a 100-day mask thing mandate for federal land. When was the last time you saw Joe Biden wear a mask? I'm just saying. It's irrelevant to me because I wear a mask when I'm out in public. I protect myself. It's not because of a mandate. But ask yourself. So I'm going to leave you on that note. Been a minute. And there it is. Bye. Peace.